This is Firecrackers and we are just getting started. And I have with me Dr. Salman Habib. He is the President, Association of Resident Doctors, Lagos State. Many thanks for being with us on the show.
Yeah, good evening.
Also, we have Dr. Bukola Kuti. She is the Financial Secretary, Association of Resident Doctors, Lagos State. Many thanks for being with us on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So now let us get into the topic, which is we are trying to understand why the Association of Resident Doctors once again have gone on strike, because this is not the first time doctors will be going on strike in Nigeria. There was a threat last year, but then it got called off because, well, negotiations were going on. So now we want to really make it clear, is it because the demands have not been met during the negotiation of that time, that is why the strike is going on again, or is it because another thing entirely has come up?
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers, and of course, we appreciate Galaxy TV for bringing us to this program to come and tell citizens what is happening. And as you have alluded to the fact that there was an ultimatum last year and it was called off. When the Association of Resident Doctors in Nigeria, we all met, and of course, we review our engagement with government at both federal and state level, and we realized that, okay, government showed commitment, and of course, they called us for engagement. And we started engaging them at both the federal and at the state level. But when we got to certain point where we believed that, oh, government is sincere, it seems that they are going to carry out their promise, then the then ultimatum was called off. You could remember that early this year too, we also gave a 2 weeks ultimatum when we also saw that government have started behaving like a typical, in quote now, Nigerian, where they will give us, they will promise, they will also renege on their promise. So the ultimatum too got called off. But in 19 to 20 days ago, we also gave 2 weeks ultimatum. So the problems is not the new one. It is still old one. And we are telling government the problem has consequences, and the consequences are obvious to all of us. And at least those doctors, we are still in Nigeria, we should not be regretting that we are staying back. So these are the things that we've decided, and as at last Monday, we had the emergency NEC meeting of Nigerian resident doctor, from where we resulted into 5 days warning strike. That is what has happened. It is not new problem, it is still old problem. So if new problem is coming up, it is still more or less like the exacerbation of the old problem that we have. Thank you.
All right, so Dr. Kuti, what are the chances that the strike will be called off? Because tomorrow, Monday, that's when the 5 days is going to elapse. Do you see the strike being called off? Because according to the Minister of Labour, Chris Ngige, what he's saying is doctors should dialogue with the employers. And do you feel like the dialogue has taken place so much that there might be possibility that the strike will be called off by tomorrow?
Well, I know we've had some headway made with our dialogue with government. However, decision to call off the strike would be made when we have a meeting which would be happening later today. Now remember that it was a 5 days warning strike, so definitely 5 days warning strike will be over by tomorrow morning. Now, consequence of the meeting will now determine what would happen in the next few days to come.
And what about the threat issued that no work, you don't get paid? How about that?
What we are fighting for is bigger than any threats that the government might pose to us. We know that this is important. We are fighting for the better good of the country. So come what may, we will stand up with the government.
Thank you. And Dr. Salman, do you have anything to add to that concerning the threat issued? You don't pay, you don't work, then you don't get paid.
Well, I think government needs to look at the demand at state level and of course at federal level. If you look at those demands, only few of them has to do with a monument. The majority of the demands are, of course, how to make hospital better so that the patients can access health care. So is it that we are selfish in that regard? All what we are telling them that to position hospital in a better position so that all the politicians will not be running away. If you want to access health care, come, so have it. So, well, there is this my position as regards to no work, no pay. One of our trainer in person of Dr. Professor Faduile will always say that, okay, what of those people that have worked that you are yet to pay them? What we are asking for is what they owe us. You are yet to pay, you are still threatening us. I mean, the one we have done, pay us first before we now begin to be talking about no work, no pay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And then one of the things, because if you have to sample public's opinion, a lot of people feel like the demand of 200% pay increase is outrageous. What do you have to say about that?
Thank you very much. And you know, in Nigeria, we just like to make, to react at times in, I wouldn't want to say unnecessary to certain things. You know, if governments want to blackmail doctors, they will say, oh, we have increased certain amount of money by 400%. But the question is, what is the money for? Let me tell you one thing. The hazard allowance before was 5,000. If that hazard allowance, I'm only giving an example now, if it is increased to 15,000, so government will come out that we have increased it by 200%. But the what 200% is what people will believe. But they won't, how much? From 5,000 to 15,000. So that's what I think is at play now. What happened is that we calculated, we have the way this thing was calculated. I always say, if doctors are going out of Nigeria and they are earning, let's say, 10 naira at overseas, why can't our Nigerian government give them 8 naira here? Once they have access to 8 naira here, they wouldn't want to go because they know that, oh, I'm in my country, I have freedom, and of course, I'm with my family. I think staying here is better than going there. So all this is what is at play. And most of the time, Nigeria tend to cheat healthcare workers. All right, so that's what I can say as regards to that.
Okay, or if we are to look at some of the justification the federal government might want to consider, they might say the health sector is not the only sector that needs help. There is a security, because every part of the nation is getting hit with one security challenge or the other. There's also the education, which even up to now has not been 100% resolved. And now the health sector too is demanding for something. Do you not feel like perhaps there might be this compromise coming into the middle to agree on something? Because really, if we are to look at it, despite the fact that we know that health is very important, is there not some way to sort of compromise and not demand, like, because this 200% increase, okay, I have to clarify this now, is it just on the hazard allowance or the whole salary completely?
Thank you very much. How much is even the salary? So what Nard is saying is that in order to meet up, or in order to be able to retain doctors in Nigeria so that they won't be, all these jackpot syndrome now. So it is on gross, and they have their facts. When we met, we have the fact how it was calculated. And I believe during our engagement, they are going to ask Nard, how did you come about this? And of course, all these things will be explained. My own is that let government start engagement. Once they start dialogue, I think this whole thing, just forget about 200%, no 100%. That one is a figure. But when we get to the real thing, I think you will know where we are.
Okay, all right. And now talking about real things, knowing where we are, the Special Assistant to Lagos Governor on Labour and Industrial Relations, that's Babatunde Williams, he said the Lagos State health workers have no justification to join the strike because, according to him, they've met all demands. Do you feel like this is accurate, and since all demands have been met by the state government, then the health workers in Lagos had no right to join the strike?
Well, I beg to differ. Remember that Lagos State Association of Resident Doctors is not a body on its own. We are under the national body. So if the national body is calling for a strike, we cannot single-handedly pull out of the strike. Now, their demands also apply to us. that they've met all our demands will not be the complete truth. Of course, in recent times, we've had good relationship with Lagos State government and they've been good to us. However, there's still a number of things that are yet to be done. This hazard allowance is still a matter we're still battling with the government. We're yet to have the upward review of our hazard allowance. So it still affects us in Lagos State. So saying that we shouldn't join the strike, I think that is uncalled for.
Okay, and do you have anything to say to that?
Thank you very much. And as I said earlier on, we have issues at the national and we have issues at the state level. There are issues at the state level that we had started discussing with Lagos State. For example, hazard allowance. It was Mr. Governor himself that mentioned this in year 2000 during the pandemic and COVID-19. We had started working, having series of meetings. As I'm telling you, the hazard allowance, look at the stretch of Lagos, the kind of risk is still 5,000 in Lagos State. So is that one not justifiable? MRTF 2023 is there. Our members have gone on for various exams and updates. That very soon, another exams will also start. So is that one not justifiable? And of course, working condition, comfortable, those things that we are asking. So those ones are not justifiable. If all these that we have mentioned are not justifiable, I don't think there is anything that is justifiable then. So that is going to be my reaction to this.
Okay, now, people, the citizens, I don't want to use the word that they don't care if the federal government or the state government is not paying what they're supposed to pay. All they care about is they go into the hospital and they are attended to. And the association, the Resident Doctors Association, is one of the greater workforce in a lot of hospitals in Nigeria. And since all of them are not working, that means a lot of patients are not being attended to. And of course, they would point fingers to the people who are not on duty. How do you try to navigate that? Being at peace with the people, also being at peace with this noble quest. I would like to call this noble quest because it is to make sure that the health sector gets better. So how do you balance that? I don't know if I should say the guilt of not being able to attend to patients and also fighting for what you feel is best for the health sector.
Okay, yes. As a health worker, of course, you do not want to see a patient suffering and then you can't give care to them. But however, in recent times, or should I say that's how it has been for a while, we've not been able to even give them optimal care. Okay, so you see patients that after you treat them and then you yourself know you've not given them 100% because of, we don't have all we need. The hospital is not functioning optimally. So this is what we are fighting for. We are looking at the future. We want things to be better. We want our patients to come in and get the best of care and be able to go back home and have good reports about the hospitals in Nigeria.
And do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I know. And what I will say is that we are sorry on behalf of both the government, the healthcare worker. And we are supposed to understand something. It is not that currently that we are on strike that patients are not being seen. Yeah, no. Patients are being seen by our consultants and medical students. But we know that we have the largest number when it comes to doctors. So that's what is at play. Not only LASUT, other sisters, institutions that we have in Lagos, all resident doctors are not working. So we know. All what we are saying is that the citizen should assist us by appealing to government to quickly answer us. If government answer us, we resident doctor will call ourselves, then we'll discuss, we'll review our engagement with government at both the federal level and the state level. Then maybe we might shelve the strike and then we start attending to our patient. I know it's not easy. So I'm begging the citizen and all the patients now that we are sorry, but please, this has to be done.
And let us look at one area to that the Association of Resident Doctors to one of the key demands, that is massive recruitment of health workers to sort of cushion the blow of people who are migrating out of the country in search of greener pasture. And recently, we also had a lawmaker that was demanding that that a Nigerian trained doctor should spend at least like 5 years before traveling out of the country. And if we have things like strike and people moving out of the country, would you perhaps say that maybe this lawmaker is making some sense in this area?
Thank you. Well, the topic, or let me say the title of that bill, sounds nice, but the content, I think the lawmaker is supposed to have researched further so that he'll be able to get facts. This is what happened. What the proposed bill says is a doctor, freshly graduated doctor, should be retained for 5 years before he or she is being given permanent license.
Yes.
The meaning of that is that you just have a bunch of people that are just left medical school that immediately they will not be able to do anything. Let me explain the meaning of that. After house job, you'll be given permanent license. It is this permanent license that you'll be able to go and serve. It is with this permanent license that you will be able to apply if you want to do residency. It is with this permanent license if you want to work at any private institution, any private hospital. It is with this permanent license that even if you yourself, you want to own hospital, it means that they just want to make the life of doctor to have a break for 5 years without doing anything. What kind of name are you going to call those doctors? Doctors that are yet to have their permanent license are not doctor, full doctor. So, moreover, what he's trying to do is to prevent people traveling out. Those that are traveling out, they don't need permanent license. In fact, as soon as they are done with their medical education now, they can travel. They can travel out of country. So it is not going to stop, but they just want to make doctors as a slave. We are in democratic region. This is not military, whereby you will treat doctor like a trash. No, that is what we are saying. That if this honorable has met with not only the professionals, it's supposed to also meet with the association of doctors, so that they will be able to explain certain things. I know he may have a claim that maybe he has met with some doctors. No, he might meet with those doctors, they might not really understand. But all in all, this bill is draconian. This bill is going to subject doctors to slavery. And this bill is not going to help. Rather, it is going to compound the problem at hand. So to me, they should just throw it out. Let me quickly ask one question. Why the bill that says that all the National Assembly member, stopping them from sending their children abroad, why did they reject that bill? Because it has to do directly with them. But doctors, nobody knows them. No, they shouldn't do that. I know that the bill is not going to scale through, but it's part of the Nard's demand. So we are waiting for government to do the needful.
Well, to the credit of the federal government, they did say that the bill has to be rejected because in a way it is not democratic. Would you not give like some credits to the federal government for coming to the realization of that?
Well, they only said that, all right? So once the bill is withdrawn, it means part of Nard's demands has been achieved. So kudos to them. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just indifferent because I know that the bill is very, very draconian. So that's just it.
Okay, and now let us look at one of the things that is applicable to other sector, because the federal government is saying that they can't do it alone and each sector too should sort of improvise. For example, now the education sector, they've been advised to try to get private sponsorship of some sort that would help boost the sector, especially when it comes to the financial part. Do you see something like that also applicable to the medical sector?
Well, already, I think that is already in play. If you go to a number of private government hospitals, rather, you see this private public partnership already going on. Okay, but then there's a lot that can be done by these private persons. The government still has a lot to do. Even if we need to invite private persons in to help out, the government still have to be the foreigners. They have to be the one to engage with these people, not the doctors sitting down at his consulting table and seeing a patient. So it still falls back on the government.
Okay. And since we've been talking about problems, infrastructure, because I know of someone that says that in Nigeria, if you are going to the hospital, just pray that what is wrong with you is just malaria or typhoid, or else you're on your own. Because that is quite sad when you look at it, like if it's not the common diseases, because there might not be equipment to correctly diagnose what is wrong with the person. So could you help paint the picture of these areas that you feel like if they are addressed, then everyone will be so proud of the Nigerian health sector?
Thank you very much for these questions. Well, that statement, I don't think is correct. The statement is not correct. You know, why are the citizens feeling the heat of Nard is on strike if they are not getting treated when they get to hospital? Let me tell you one thing. There is no diseases, tropical diseases, that are not being treated in Nigeria as I'm talking to you. There is a room for referral. If there is an hospital that you know that you don't have adequate infrastructure to deal with that medical condition at hand, you can refer the patient. For example, you cannot compare some general hospitals and of course to some teaching hospitals. And of course, we also have some hospitals that are specialists in a way that they care. For example, we have the National Orthopedic Hospital, Igbobi. You know that that is more or less like a specialist care. We have the Federal Neuropsychiatric, Yaba. So we care for different medical conditions. So that what is it that government can put in place that will make the health sector vibrant and of course acceptable?
Perhaps enviable.
Can you look, if you look at the Nard demand, we said that there is a proposal that 15% of budgetary allocation to health sector. And of course, once that one is done, they will have funds to build infrastructure, to also employ the manpower, and of course, to ensure that everything that is needed in the health sector is in place. That is all what government needs to do. And of course, not only that they will just send the fund out, they will also have to monitor it. And of course, there is going to be some more or less like a training and retraining for the managers of the hospitals. I believe that we are doing fine. If we are not doing fine, we have our colleagues that have traveled out. And those Nigerians that are seeking, that are doing this medical tourism, they are meeting with them. If our medical education has problem, they won't be meeting them. They should be meeting other people. Let me tell you something. On a lighter note, one of my colleagues was telling me that a Nigerian traveled abroad to seek for medical, and help. When she got there, she now met a Nigerian doctor. She's like, no, I cannot come all the way from Nigeria, come to this place and meet another Nigerian doctor. No, I want to see another doctor for you to see. This thing, it's a mentality. Some people believe that, let me go and see white-collared person. Some people have that kind of mentality. So how can we help them? Some people just believe that nothing good about Nigeria. It's not. Not long ago, Vice President of this country received treatment in one of hospital, even though within this Lagos, within this Ikeja. What is going on? We have had governor that used to come to lawsuit, even though while serving as governor. So the question is, if government believe in us, you have to patronize us. It is going to serve two purposes. Number one is that everybody will know that governor is around. Patients will even develop more interest. And even though the staffs, they will do what they're supposed to do, because they know that at any time, at any point, at any time government officials can come. That is how I know very high-rank government officials that they make use of lawsuits. So as far it depends on individual, and of course people that have this believe that they can only access healthcare when they travel out. I don't think I personally can help them. But when they see that people are getting treated, people are getting well, no problem. I'm a surgeon. I perform surgery. most of our patients are getting better. Even though from overseas, they are inviting some of our senior colleagues that are consultants. They will invite them from Nigeria. Please, doctor, so and so, come and operate for us. So if we are not good, why are they doing that? I think our people need to, have this awareness that not everything that has to do with Nigeria is bad, and not everything that has to do with overseas is good. I think that is why I like the statement of President-elect that said that we need to reorientate our people. Let's start to believe not only in ourselves, but in this country called Nigeria. And that is also my position. I believe Nigeria can work, and I believe in whosoever that is also going to reposition Nigeria to that better, in such a way that we can be proud when we travel out that I'm in Nigeria, and people will say, yeah, kudos to you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's so sweet. I look forward to that too. But Dr. Kuti, what do you think is responsible to this lack of faith in Nigeria medical system? It might not just be the hospital as a whole, but then some people do not believe in Nigerian doctors. They don't believe in Nigerian nurses. They believe perhaps someone even from a medical practitioner from a neighboring country. They have so much faith in anything rather than something that is made in Nigeria. What do you think might be responsible for that?
Okay, so I think that is general. It's not just has to do with the health sector. Okay, you go to the market, you want to buy a dress. You'd prefer the one that is made in, the US, the UK, than the ones made in Nigeria. So it's a mentality that is not just peculiar. It's a mentality that's not just peculiar to the health sector, but it's something that you see generally, that people tend to prefer things that are foreign than what is made in Nigeria. And just like my president said, things are changing. Okay, there's an improvement in the skills, improvement in what we can do, what we can offer, okay, from the health sector. And there's a need to let the people know that specialist care can be gotten right here in Nigeria. We are getting trained. A number of us go outside the country to even get further training and come back and give back to the country.
Okay, so do you see this all traveling out of the country, this mass exodus of health workers, do you see it ending anytime soon?
Yes, I am optimistic that it can end. Let's hope for the best. With the new government coming in, I'm hopeful that some changes will be made, and my colleagues, and especially for those that are just coming out of medical school, will see reasons to stay back in the country.
And what about you, Dr. Salman?
Well, I think I am going to differ from my colleague. I don't see that this thing is going to end very soon. And the reason is we have pull factors and we have push factors. Until when government identify the two and try to work to the what? To the pull factors. If they are working on, that is the reason Nard proposed 200 increments in comments review. Why are the health workers, doctors and nurses, why are they leaving? It is not only about money. Enabling environment, conducive environment, all right, and of course secured environment. One of our members was killed not long ago. He was at work and he was the one on call. He was, okay, let me quickly get home and pick my food. And while going home, he was shot dead.
Oh.
Right, so these are the things that once someone hears about it, one will not be happy. And we are talking about remuneration. It's people that are there, they will be calling us, oh, you are still in Nigeria, yeah, sorry. So that is why, see, all these things, it's a composite thing. It's something that government needs to sit down. You cannot coerce doctor, you cannot harass them, you cannot bully them, you cannot intimidate them. It is not about that. It's about, let's sit down. All right, okay, this is what is happening. Let them hear from us. If they hear from us, okay, we can, okay, because we are all Nigerian and we believe in Nigeria, all of us can now come together. That this thing is going to end soon when government is yet to do the needful? I don't think so. And Nigeria has become more or less like in quote now, you know, sport academy. So we are just producing doctors for the developed country. And of course, it's cheaper for them, because to train a doctor, it's not something cheap. So Nigeria will train a doctor, and those people will just employ them, and they will be making money for them. Of course, also making money for themselves. So I don't think it's going to end soon, unless government decide to first take the giant stride. Then we can now begin to see, because they have to reverse it. If not, we may be left with only one doctor in Nigeria who is not even practicing as a doctor. So that is it.
That is quite sad. And you have to agree that all this, in the media, TV, you see doctors leaving, the ones who are around you, they do not want to stay. You also agree that this might in a way discourage a lot of people from pursuing the health sector. But at least, please, let us paint a picture, something that would still encourage that little boy, little girl out there that medicine is not as evil as it seems, and if you're going to, it does not mean that you have to suffer so much. We have to look at the positive side too, or at least of being a doctor and all that. So what word of encouragement will you give to that little boy, little girl out there, or someone who is speaking of their jam form and they want to study medicine?
Well, personally, I would tell them that you know, being a doctor, it's a noble profession. And when you care for patients and the patient is being discharged and patient is going home, patient will now stay, you know, will pause and look at you, smile, and will say, "Thank you, doctor." You know, I remember there was this patient of mine that I was managing with my oga. When we, in fact, everybody thought this patient would die. But when the day we discharged patient, the patient started praying and she was crying. You know, there was this joy in me that, oh, God has used me to ensure that this madam will still continue to live. Please go out there, pick up jam form. We know that to be a doctor is not easy. You will read more than your colleagues. Many a times when we were in medical school, our colleague will be playing football, but because we had in course, we will be reading. But once you become, it is, you know, our prayer that before you finish, Nigeria would have, you know, changed for better. So because we must keep producing doctors that are sound, all right? So that is what I think I can tell them. However, if you now see the situation at hand, you have become adults, you can decide whether to stay or to go. There is also a positive things in people leaving country. They will also add additional knowledge. If Nigeria is okay, as I'm telling you, let government, let government does what Nard asks them to do. You will see our member calling us, Alpha, I beg, keep a space for me, or they come back for Nigeria. That will be the language people will be speaking. You know, if Nigeria is good, those people that are there, they will be coming back. Nobody will tell them. They are listening to the news, and of course, do you know the reason why people are leaving? Because we are listening to what they are saying. People will now calculate, how much am I going to earn for the entire lifetime? How much am I going to earn for 6 months, 1 year? I beg, let me quickly go and join them. If Nigerians start to respect doctor more, paying doctor what they deserve, make sure that infrastructure, everything is okay, we will be the one calling them that, oh boy, don't, I beg, come home. It is sweet to be a Nigerian and to be in Nigeria right now. And everybody will be coming. So my advice is that please go and pick up your jam form. Make sure you do very well. Study medicine, dentistry, nursing, physiotherapy. Make sure you become health care provider. But once you are done, you have become an adult. You can decide whether to stay or to go. That is my advice for you. Thank you.
Okay, what about you, Dr. Kuti?
Well, I always ask myself that if I knew the challenges that I'll be facing now when I was, deciding what course to read in school, would I still have, opt for medicine? And the answer to that question is I would still have, read medicine and become a medical doctor, because the fulfillment that I derive from this profession is second to no other. I can't compare it. So I feel that, so my advice to them is, if you want to study medicine, please go for it. There's a lot to gain from being a medical doctor or a nurse or a pharmacist. You should come and become an health worker. The government, the people need you. Nigeria needs you. It's long overstretched that we say it a lot, that the ratio of health workers to patients is really wide. That margin is wide. So we need to close that gap. So we need more people to, come into become an health worker, and we hope that in the nearest future that the economy will be better.
Yeah, and well, thankfully, I think a lot of Nigerian parents still love the title of being the parents to a doctor or a nurse. So hopefully the profession will still get some encouragement. It's not going to be total discouragement. And sincerely, we hope that, okay, let me even ask this question on a final note. If by tomorrow there is no response, no positive response from the government, does this mean that the strike is going to continue?
Well, there is going to be, in fact, currently there is a NEC meeting going on. All right, we are discussing. We are going to reappraise what has happened. We'll review. So let's see if there is a positive, that tangible commitment. All right. So don't let us speak now. So let it be after the NEC meeting. So of course you will hear the outcome very soon. Thank you very much.
Yes, and sincerely, I'm sure perhaps a lot of Nigeria too will share this sentiment. We sincerely hope that this meeting yield positive results, because people fall sick every day, and then we do need healthcare providers to nourish us back to life, so to speak. Many thanks for being on the show. We truly appreciate your view. And I have with me Dr. Salman Habib, President, Association of Resident Doctors, Lagos State. Many thanks for being with us on the show.
Thank you.
And we also have Dr. Bukola Kuti, Financial Secretary, Association of Resident Doctors, Lagos.
Thank you.